This video will go over adding and subtracting rational expressions. In order to do so, remember that we will need the LCD. When we are multiplying or dividing rational expressions, we do not need the LCD. But if we are going to add or subtract rational expressions, we need the LCD. For example number 5, we had 5/3 minus 1/7. In order to subtract these two fractions, we need the common denominator, the least common denominator. We're going to see that our least common denominator is 21. So we want to rewrite our 5/3 into something over 21 so that we can subtract our fraction of 1/7, which we're going to rewrite as something over 21. What we do know is that in order to get the 3 to become a 21, we multiply times 7. And if we multiply the bottom by 7, we need to multiply the top by 7. So that's how we're going to find that this number is a 35. So 35 over 21, if we reduce that fraction, will be 5/3. Similarly, we will do the same thing over here. We realize that we need to multiply by a 3 because 7 times 3 will give me 21. So I need to multiply the top by 3 as well. And that's how I get 3 over 21. If I were to reduce this, this would become 1 over 7. Now we can subtract our two fractions. 35 minus 3 is 32. And I have the same denominator of 21. We can try to reduce it. Remember that this one only has factors of 3 and 7. And this one has 8 and 4. But there's no 3 or no 7, so it cannot be reduced. So our final answer will remain as 32 over 21. The second fraction we're going to add the fraction of x over x minus 2 plus 1 over x plus 2. And again, we can see we have quite different numbers in our denominator. In fact, I'm going to go on ahead and put this one as a number. Remember, order of operations says that I would have to do the subtraction before I can divide in my fraction here. So I'm going to put parentheses over here. So that will also help us not eliminate the x's. But we're going to look at the denominators, and we're going to look at one of them has a factor of x minus 2, while the other one has a factor of x plus 2. Because they are different, I actually need both of these. I need both x minus 2 as well as x plus 2 to be in my new denominator. This is going to be my LCD. So now I have to figure out how to rewrite this first fraction such that the denominator will have x minus 2 and x plus 2. Then I have to figure out to rewrite this second fraction so that the denominator has x minus 2 and x plus 2. Similar to the way we did up here where we were trying to figure out the least common denominator of 21. So for the first fraction, we notice that I need an x plus 2, and then that way when I multiply these two, I will have the same LCD that I have down here. But if I multiply the bottom times a factor, I got to multiply the top by the same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and write that up here as x times x plus 2. I'm going to do the same thing for the second fraction and realize what's missing is going to be an x minus 2. And if I multiply the denominator by x minus 2, I need to multiply the numerator by x minus 2. When I do that, this will give me my LCD that I have down here at the bottom. Then I need to multiply 1 times x minus 2, which is going to be x minus 2. Now that I have the same common denominator, we're going to write that one time as x minus 2 and x plus 2. And then I'm going to multiply this out by doing the distributive property, and I get x squared plus 2x. And then I have a plus here. I'm going to distribute that plus to both of these over here. If this had been a minus sign for subtraction, I would distribute the negative to both of the terms in the numerator of the second fraction. So in this case, I'm going to get plus x and minus 2. Now I'm going to add like terms at the top. In my denominator, I still stays the same thing as x plus 2, x minus 2. At the top, I have x squared plus 3x minus 2. And the next and last thing we need to do is to see if we can reduce this fraction. In other words, can I factor this trinomial? I'm looking for factors of 2 that subtract to 3. And the answer to that is none. It'll never happen. So therefore, this is our final answer. Since it cannot be reduced, I could not factor the numerator to see if it would cancel out or factor out with one of these factors that I have in the denominator. And that concludes this video.